squad announcement yesterday. I know people will have their thoughts and opinions on the squad and those that have missed out, things of that nature. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit today, and also going to talk about how we should potentially look at lining up, in my opinion, at the World Cup. So, I mean, first of all, my overall thoughts on the squad are, pretty good squad under the circumstances. We know that there should have been and would have been different players in that squad if we didn't have injuries. Reece James would have gone and would have started at the World Cup. I'd say I'm pretty certain about that. Chilwell would have been in the squad. He would have definitely been in the squad. I don't have any doubt about that. I don't think he would have started, actually, in truth, based upon, it was only last summer that Luke Shaw performed all those heroics, and he's kind of got his way back into the Man United team now, and he's doing well, whereas Chilwell, I was suffering at Chelsea, and also Shaw has just been playing for England since the summer, since this summer, 2022. So, I think he would have gone as backup anyway. Who else have we got as injuries? I'm just trying to think. Was there any other major ones injury-wise for England? Not that I can think of off the top of my head. I think it was mainly Reece James and Chilwell, wasn't it? So let's look at kind of big glaring omissions that people are bothered about. First, I'm going to go with Ivan Toney. So here's the interesting one with Ivan Toney. People are saying he's been really hard done by, which really hard done by is perhaps an overstatement in my opinion. Unlucky not to be going, sure. Would we have said the same about Callum Wilson if Ivan Toney was going instead of him? Quite probably, actually. Pretty tough call in my opinion. If you look at, and what we're talking about here is Kane's deputy, isn't it? So none of these players are going to start. It's all about Kane's deputy. At one point that was Calvert-Lewin, probably 18 months ago, 2 years ago. So injury prone since then. Completely fired himself out of the running. After that point, we then had Tammy Abraham, who really looked like he'd cemented that mantle. Particularly in the last 12 months, it felt like Abraham absolutely is the guy. He's going to be Kane's deputy. Really not in good form for Roma this season. I don't know what's happened there. He doesn't seem to play a lot. I don't know whether Dybala coming in has unsettled him. I'm not really sure. I'm not too au fait with the ins and outs of what's happening there, but clearly not in form. As Southgate mentioned in the press conference, it was quite candid about that. So he's played his way out of the running, Abraham. And then you've got Ivan Toney and Callum Wilson are doing excellently for their club, and they both are. Ivan Toney, amazing scoring rate, phenomenal penalty taker, and that can't be overlooked. And I think that was, for me, a big merit for him going. We've just lost a penalty shootout in a final. I mean, is there an argument to say Toney is one of, if not the best penalty takers in the world? Never mind the Premier League, the world. I would say so. His record is pretty frightening as a penalty taker. You just know he's going to score. So that's a big asset to have. Of course it is. And his injury record is way better than Callum Wilson's. Way, way, way better. So I think on the balance of play, as Kane's backup in a 26-man squad, they need to be reliable. I wouldn't be surprised if Callum Wilson gets injured either this weekend or in training at the World Cup. His injury record is bad. It's bad. However, he's been fit for the last few weeks now, and scoring. And what you would say for me, what I would say about Callum Wilson is he does have elite level movement. His movement is very, very good. And do I think that he overall has a higher ceiling than Ivan Toney? For me, yes, I think so. I think he's even more clinical than Toney is. Very, very, very good player. Will he be fit? Will he be fit? That's the big question. The big question. And actually, frankly, in a 26-man squad, I would have probably taken both of them. I would have taken Toney and Wilson, actually. I know that's 3 players for one position. However, you look at what we've taken in terms of other options. We've taken Saka, Foden, Grealish, Rashford, Mount, Maddison, who all can probably play in one of the wide positions. That's a lot of players for that. You'd assume, and we'll get onto this, but I would assume that in every game, apart from the Iran game, we're going to play with 3 at the back, which means only 2 central midfielders, which means why on earth do you need to take 6? It feels like we're way oversubscribed with central midfielders. So I think we could have risked taking 3. However, that wasn't the decision, and so if we're only taking 1, Wilson or Toney, I think to a degree you're splitting hairs there. So it's not a big, there doesn't need to be a big outcry saying that this is horrendous. The other one in terms of missing out, which I understand would be Tomori, and that's understandable. The guy won the Serie A last year, of course. 2 things with this. 1, he is rash. He is young still and he is rash. His defensive positioning for me is not good. Tomori, he's pretty rash player, and there's been lots of evidence of that in the last 12 months. Good athlete though. More pertinently, which people just don't seem to want to accept this, we know what Southgate's going to do. Surely we know this. He's going to play a back 3. He's taken 6 players that can play centre back. The writing's on the wall there. It's going to be a back 3. Tomori doesn't play in a back 3. He's not a back 3 specialist. AC Milan typically play with a back 4. All the other centre backs that go in, Kyle Walker plays in a back 3 for England and has done since 2018 and has done so successfully. Eric Dyer is a back 3 specialist. Harry Maguire is a back 3 specialist for England, hence since the same team, 2018. John Stones is the same, he's the 2018 England crop. Connor Cody has built his reputation on playing in a back 3 for Wolves. And Ben White being the other one. Ben White has played a lot in a back 3 for Brighton as well. Tomori doesn't fit in that. He doesn't fit in that. Do I think Tomori's a better player than Connor Cody? Yeah, I do. But he doesn't fit the system, which is why James Maddison hasn't been involved for England for 3 years. There's been no place for him. We never play with a 10, ever. However, James Maddison's form is so good, he couldn't leave him out. And with a 26-man team, you can afford you can afford a wild card. You can afford a wild card in there. If you do switch things up, and actually, I do think that with Maddison, especially if we play with wing backs and the likes of the Sterling Saka position is somewhat inverted in and around Kane, Maddison can easily fit into that. And if he does go with a 4-3-3, Maddison also used to play as a kind of roaming 8 in Rodgers' Leicester system alongside Tielemans. That the scope for him to play in a system within England. So yeah, decision on Tomori. Sometimes you do leave high ability players out of your squads because they don't fit what you want to do in the system. De Gea at Spain is a big example of that. He can't play with his feet well enough, so it doesn't matter that he's an amazing shot stopper. Luis Enrique doesn't want him. He's got 3 other goalkeepers that he'd have instead of De Gea. Is De Gea a better shot stopper than all 3 of those? Probably, I would argue. Yeah, I would definitely argue. But he can't play with his feet, so it's not going to work in Spain. And the same is probably at the minute being said for Tomori. My biggest issue with the squad is, as I've said, I think we've taken too many centre midfielders, because I do think, from a pragmatism perspective, he's taken it to give him options, okay, so that he can go with the 4-3-3, because he's got the option of that. He's not going to use it. I know in my heart of hearts he won't use it. Iran, yes, I think it'd be silly not to go with a 4-3-3 or even a 4-2-3-1 just to try it. After that point, I think he'll go with the 3 at the back every single game. So half of those centre midfielders are just going to be sat doing nothing around the ball, and that's why I would have taken an extra striker. My biggest issue, though, that's my second biggest. My biggest issue is the lack of left wing back options. Is a huge, especially with Luke Shaw's injury record over the years. That is an enormous risk for me. And people are saying, "Oh well, Trippier can play. Trippier's going to start at right wing back. Trippier's going to start at right wing back. He'll be taking risks. Trent's gone in the squad. There's no way Trent's starting. Again, maybe against Iran, no other games. Trippier, he trusts him, and Trippier's bang on form. And actually, Trippier should be in that team over Trent on merit anyway right now. He's been incredible for Newcastle. So he's your starting player on the right. Luke Shaw's your starting player on the left. But if Luke gets injured, then you've got to move Trips across. And there's no more backup. And you've got Trent, and there's no backup because Trips is on that side. You go, oh well, Saka can play in there. For me, I think Saka will probably start in the right wing position. So what we're saying really is that Luke Shaw's backup are players that are already going to be playing in other positions. That's not good. You want players that are backup for a specific position and not playing elsewhere. You look at all the centre backs. Okay, they're playing as the centre back. The kind of second choice centre backs. They're going as second choice centre backs. They're not starting in another position and can also fill in at centre back. And that's what we want for left wing back. We want to be taking 2 out and out. In a 26-man squad, you want to be taking 2 out and out for every position, bare minimum. And he hasn't done that. Big risk for me. Big risk. But then maybe he was thinking, who the fuck am I going to take? Tyreek Mitchell. He's alright. Aaron Cresswell. He's alright. Sessegnon, his form has nosedived at Spurs. Who could you have taken? So I get it, but that's the biggest concern for me. So, here's what I do with what he has taken. Iran, I would be starting with a back 4 for Iran, because they're going to sit in and they're going to try and counter, and we need more creativity on the pitch. I would use it to give certain players a game, because it's a long tournament if you go in there trying to win it. And I would also use it as a way of giving other players confidence. So I'd start with Pickford, definitely. I'd have Trippier and Shaw as the full-backs, and I would play Stones and Maguire. Maguire is going to play, guys. It's gonna happen. He's gonna play in the back 3. Once we move on and we revert to the back 3, he will be in that left of the back 3 starting berth. I'm sure that we might not want it to happen, but we're all probably quite confident that's going to happen, I assume. if that is the case, the best thing to do, especially for a man who hasn't had many games the last 2-3 months, let him build confidence in what should be a reasonably easy game. That's the best that we can hope for. So play him against Iran, where he can build confidence, and we can try and increase his chances of playing well in the more difficult games. I think that's quite important. I would then play Rice and Bellingham. Well, I'd probably play Rice as a single pivot, and I'd play Bellingham as a free roaming 8, and I'd play Maddison even further forward than that. Maddison is probably, when we look at form, for me, if you look at of that 26-man squad, who are the out and out form players right now, I would say there's an argument to say that Maddison is in better form than anybody else in that squad. He's playing that well. You'd maybe argue Callum Wilson, Harry Kane, thankfully, Saka, Trippier, and Ben White, and of course Bellingham. So Bellingham, so those players, there's only about 6 really that you can say are absolutely bang at it right now, which isn't great for the squad, but 7 of them are bang at it right now. Is any of them in better form than Maddison at the minute? I think there's an argument to say no. I think he might be. So I'd start him. I'd start him in that game because he might not play the rest of the tournament, but he might be used as an impact sub. So if he can come on and get an assist or get a goal, and you know, if he can start against Iran, and get an assist or a goal to get his confidence up, to then revert to an impact sub, I think that's quite important as well. So I'd go Rice, Bellingham, almost a lopsided 4-3-3. You know, not necessarily. I don't want a double pivot and a number 10, but you know, maybe Bellingham on the left as an 8, and a bit like Man United's 4-3-3. If you see where I'm going with that, I would play Saka and Sterling. The reason I would do that is because I think Iran will sit in. They won't play with a high line, so the likes of your Fodens and I think we need somebody that can isolate and just run at them one-on-one. Saka will be perfect for that, and I think we want Saka running at them one-on-one, with Trippier overlapping to take defenders away. And I think we start Sterling because he needs it for his confidence, similar to Maguire. Because again, guys, he's going to play Sterling. He is going to play Sterling. So I think he needs it for his confidence as well. And of course, Harry Kane. I would look to make substitutions, most definitely. I would, you know, if we are, and I'm being optimistic here, but if we're 3-0 up at half time, I'd take Kane off. Because he's going to play every game other than that, and he might play every minute after that for the rest of the tournament. And he's played a lot of minutes for Spurs as well. I'm surprised he hasn't got injured, frankly. I would take off probably Sterling and Saka. I'd take off the front 3, frankly. I'd take off Rice, definitely, to get some minutes into Calvin's legs. I wouldn't start Calvin. I don't think he's necessarily ready for that. And then I'd probably take off Luke Shaw to protect him, wrap him in fucking cotton wool. He's going to play every minute after that. Those would be the 5 subs that I'd be looking to make. And that's what I'd do in the first game. After that, when we likely revert to a back 3, I'd go Pickford. Again, I'm going to go Trips and Luke Shaw, of course. I'm going to go John Stones in the middle because I think he's quite crucial in that back 3 environment. Probably I'm going to go Harry Maguire on the left because he does do pretty well for England, and he suits the slower pace of it. And we know Southgate's going to go there anyway. From what I understand, Kyle Walker's not going to be fit until the back end of the group stages. So if we're talking the USA game, I would actually play Ben White on the right side of the back 3. He's the form defender. He's absolutely the form centre-back. He's used to playing in that exact berth for Brighton. He's also and crucially, I think he's the quickest out of that back three. If we were to go Maguire, Stones, Dyer, that would really, really worry me. Really worry me. And actually, the last 2 or 3 games, Dyer's not been in good form at all for me. And I really wouldn't want to see that. Of course, when Kyle Walker's back and fit, you'd probably have for seniority wise, and he doesn't let England down. You'd have to put him back in, and he's so good for that recovery pace. But I'd love to see Ben White in there, probably in the USA game. And again, if Kyle Walker's not fit enough in the Wales game, so that'll be the back, the defence. You're then probably looking at what you deem to be the obvious, and it's probably going to be Rice, Bellingham, Saka, Sterling, Kane, and that's probably how it's going to look throughout the tournament. I think my primary impact subs. I don't think Grealish has been at it this season. He's not he's down the pecking order for me. He really is. Impact subs. I'd probably be looking at Foden, Rashford, definitely for the pace massively. Foden and Rashford would be my primary 2 impact subs, I would say. What I'm not against at all when we get towards the back end of the tournament for specialism is and England fans will go fucking bonkers for this, but don't forget the bedrock of the success we built upon with this. I wouldn't mind us reverting to Calvin and Rice. So yes, a back 3 with Calvin and Rice again, to allow the forward players to really get at it. And if that means, I mean, I wouldn't be against pushing Bellingham forward and just seeing how he did. I know it's not his natural position, but putting Bellingham further forward in exchange for maybe Sterling, or again, he might have to be an impact sub. And I know that's mental dropping Bellingham with the form that he's in. But Southgate's a pragmatist. And actually, in tournament football, that pragmatism has taken us a long way. There's a lot of people talking a lot of smack about Southgate, and I get it. I understand the criticism.